I'm Nate, and I'm going to show you how to create exciting encounters in the city. We're going to look at setting the stage for cinematic adventure, offering challenges that are appropriate for your party, creating a mood that'll support your narrative, and seeding in secrets for your players to discover. Let's dive in and start building a city. First, let's look at a classic tavern build. We're going to use this to illustrate the 4 things that I'm thinking about when I put together an encounter. So, number 1 is your encounter is the stage for what is going to unfold, right? You want to be presenting your players with an area to perform, a playground for them to explore and get to have wonderful, exciting moments at the table. So, you want to make sure there's plenty of room for miniatures, like plenty of playable space, as well as interesting areas, right? So you got a back room, you got a little nook, you have a bar, there's some interesting zones, and you want to have interactive elements that will draw them in, maybe present challenges for them, give them reasons to dig deeper into the scene. So right now we've got some space, we've got some cool zones. We don't really have any interactive elements. So let's assume this is a social encounter, which of course could quickly turn into a combat encounter. So first things first, let's put a bartender in, right? We have a barkeep. Now there's instant social interaction, chance to get some rumors, chance to use some social skills, chance to bribe somebody, chance to get some drinks. Easy interactive object. Let's hit a slightly different note. Let's add another chance for social interaction. We'll have a band of rugged mercenaries here, right? So another chance for social, but slightly different tone, maybe a little more hostile, a little more rough around the edges, offers some different approach. And then in this back corner, we'll put a mysterious dragonborn, another chance for social interaction, once again, hitting a different note. So each one's kind of hitting, give you some different options. And then let's have some interactive inanimate objects. Let's put a chest in there, right? Nothing gets everybody's attention like a chest. What's inside? Who knows? All right, so we have set the stage for adventure. Number 2 is present challenges. Make sure you have challenges in here that are going to let your players use their skills. I like to use Sly Flourish's Lazy Dungeon Master series for my prep, and one of the elements of that is review all the character sheets before you create your encounter and make sure that you have challenges that are appropriate to the skills that they have. So if you've got somebody that has lockpicking and some thieves' tools, let's make this chest locked. Maybe we'll make this door locked. Give them a couple of chances to use their skills, opportunities to use the stuff that they have. Players always appreciate that. We've already instituted several social challenges here, and it could turn into combat, which then becomes a challenge in itself. Number 3, the third thing I'm looking for is mood, right? I want this build to enhance the story that I'm telling. I want it to build upon the story and hit the right notes that will accentuate the ambiance, the vibe, and the overall feel of what we're doing. So let's say the hook for this is the players have to go to a seedy tavern on the outskirts of town and talk to, find an informant or find some information. If your players show up and this is this beautiful, quaint, inviting tavern, there will be some narrative dissonance, right? It doesn't feel like that story, that hook that they were promised. So let's change out the look a little bit to make sure that we're hitting the right mood for this tavern. So let's start up front here. Right now we've got all these beautiful plants and this colorful door. Let's pull all that out. It looks too inviting and colorful and warm. In fact, we'll just pull this whole front piece off. All right, we'll pull that out and let's get seedy. So we'll put a dark speakeasy door. It's locked. It's got a peephole. It already says danger. We'll put some trash around the sides, broken planks. Like, let's make it look a little less inviting. We'll have boarded up windows, right? Same piece, just put boarded up shutters there. Already makes a big difference sort of on the initial impression when they look at it. And then coming inside, we'll take this colorful rug out. We'll put in a big giant badger pelt in there. So now there's a bit of a story, right? Who killed that thing? Put a monster head over the fireplace, right? So now we're feeling a little seedier. It feels like we're setting the right kind of mood and makes this encounter feel a little more dangerous and appropriate to the story that we're trying to tell. And finally, the fourth thing that I'm always looking to do in encounters is create a sense of discovery and exploration, right? Give your players a chance to uncover secrets, uncover things that they didn't know before, feel like they are the first ones here or that they are discovering things that nobody knew about. It's always fun every time. So the easiest way you can do that is to cover areas of your build up. So visually, the players can't see what it is until the characters discover it. So, let's put a trapdoor in there, right? We'll have a trapdoor in there so there's some payoff, right? That's a great chance for discovery, right? Something that leads somewhere, a tunnel, a trapdoor, a secret door, anything like that, a portal is a great chance for what's beyond the portal. So we're going to have that there, and we're going to hide it we're going to just put a piece of black cloth over this back part of the build. Now, players immediately are going to want to know what's behind the black cloth, what's behind this door. Let's say this door is locked also, so they get a chance to use their lock picking or magic or something. That is a great chance for discovery. Similarly, this chest, we could put a secret in there. Another great tip from Sly Flourish's Lazy Dungeon Master is make a list of 10 secrets before you start each session, and you don't know where you're going to give them, but once you have a list of 10 secrets, you'll find opportunities. So that chest would be a perfect example. If they open up, maybe there's a note in there that has one of those secrets. Maybe there's a secret in there. And then let's give one more. Let's block off this area here in the back. So I'm going to put a pillar in, put a curtain in. Now there's this what's behind the curtain, who's the mysterious stranger back there, and to really make it mysterious for the players, we're going to cover it up. So now there's two different areas that they haven't seen, as well as a couple of zones that they can exploration in here, right? When they come in, who wants to talk to the mercenaries? Who wants to talk to the bartender? Oh, there's a locked door over there. What's behind the curtain? Let's give them one more thing. Maybe we'll put an old lady by the fire, or someone else to talk to. So there's at least 3 zones in here, plus 2 hidden zones, areas to explore and find some information. So those are the 4 things that I am thinking about when I put together an encounter. Let's see how those apply to a little larger encounter that's combat focused. Okay, our second build here is the Night Market. This is a 2-foot by 2-foot combat encounter. The hook is the players at the CD Tavern got info that led them here to the Night Market. It is a nocturnal bazaar, only open on certain special nights, and it's like a magical black market. So let's go down our checklist of encounter building, 4 encounter building steps. So number 1, we're setting the stage. So since this is an exterior city build, one of the things I like to do is sort of constrain the play area, because often players will want to just sort of ramble out all down 6 city blocks. So to keep them kind of just in this 2x2, I've taken the 3 back buildings here, put them really tight together and forms kind of like a back wall, and then made a perimeter using our freestanding walls around the outside, and then a couple of buildings here with some freestanding walls. So there's only this little bottleneck entrance here, and then everything else is constrained, and it feels in kind of a natural way so it doesn't break the fiction for the players. The other thing to note about city encounters is interior buildings tend to be built overly large. Like that last tavern had a pretty big footprint because you wanted a lot of playable space and multiple rooms, whereas exterior buildings built for exteriors are often just sort of facades and obstacles, so they tend to be smaller, and there are more of them. So in this case, we have six buildings clustered around, but the footprint of them is all pretty small because we're generally just using the exteriors. But you could open them up if you wanted to and play inside if you so desired. All right, so let's look at our stage here. The goal with this one was to build multi-level combat with a lot of different areas of playable space up above, so things will get kind of dynamic and exciting, and try and provide a lot of different ways players can get up there. It's sort of like a level in Tony Hawk Pro Skater where you've got a lot of different places to do tricks, and then you can pick your line, kind of how you're going to get there. So let's walk around the sides. So like over here, we have this whole raised area. and there's a couple ways to get there. You can go through this trapdoor by going into the building, up the trapdoor, up around the steps, or maybe you jump off this ladder or this wagon and climb your way up there, or maybe you come parkour off the fence and climb up there. A couple of different ways to get up there. Working around over here, we have another balcony with some obvious stairs coming up. But let's even give the players some more playable space. Let's pop a couple of assassins' perches up here. So maybe they go from there, transition up perches and play off the dormer if they want. And then we'll do the same thing over here. We'll pop let's pop another perch over here, just give even more playable space, right? We have this really fun roof run up here. Now we have that perch. We have this balcony down here with a ladder. So there's a couple of ways maybe they can get up here, play up here. And then this building has a lot of playable space, this whole open roof, great sort of lookout area. We have this other big balcony, and then this balcony that has the little roof over it, so it feels like kind of a protected space. That'd be a really good place to hide out and snipe someone from. And then, of course, they can turn anything into some verticality if they want. They could jump off the cart. They could jump off the market stall. They could climb up there. There's lots of areas to go up. Also, while you're building interesting areas in your encounter, give the players a reason to go there, right? So in this case over here, we have a little spyglass. Maybe they want to go up there and kind of scout out the area first before they go in or something. So we're trying to give little reasons to go up here. Over here, we have a hoist. Maybe they want to use that to hook somebody, lower something up or whatever. So we're trying to put interactive objects around that they can play with. Speaking of interactive objects, we've already kind of put a whole bunch of interactive props in here. They can push the wagons, they can pick stuff up, lots of areas, but let's also seed in some NPCs, some people to talk to. So we'll start over here. We're gonna put this tiefling in, selling some sort of terrible wares over in that stall. There's this creepy fortune teller lady over by this table here. Let's put a Kenku lookout over there. And then over here, it's none other than the mysterious dragonborn from the tavern. So they'll probably want to go over and talk to her. All right, so we've set the stage with a big playground, plenty of areas to interact with, lots of items to interact with. I think we're set in setting the stage. So the number 2 is challenges. So beyond sort of any social interactions that they have to have with these folks, at some point we're going to spring the ambush. Let's say there are were-rats that are guarding this thing. Maybe it's a were-rat mafia that runs the night market. So at some point they're going to pop out and ambush the players. So we're going to do this fun thing where we have them come from all sides. So some guy can pop out of this trapdoor and hop up here, and armed with ranged, right, spears or javelins or a short bow or whatever, ranged attacks. This guy comes out of the door and hops out here. Once again, both these guys have cover because they're behind the railings. We'll have a guy come out of this door over here onto this platform. Once again, throwing down ranged attacks. Over here, we have a dragonborn caster that works with them. And there can be just raining death down from above, right? Shooting down some high damaging spells. So this is a high threat, also really high, 30, 40 feet up in the air. So it's going to be more difficult to deal with. So that should be fun. And then over here, we'll put one maybe on the top. We could put them in the armored balcony, maybe on the roof, something like that. So we have some options. So now we're really giving the players incentive to get up and use these multiple levels of play. Got some good dynamic combat because they've got to deal with these ranged, like nobody's coming down to fight them on the ground. They're all shooting from all sides, and there's no cover down here for the players. So it should lead to an interesting fight. So I think we've got challenges covered. So number 3, mood. So we're trying to create the sense of nighttime mystical market. So we've dimmed the lights down here, put a little blue on them. In your game room, you can do the same thing. We're leaning heavily on LEDs here. So working our way around, we've got lots of pools of light in all these little spots, flickering LEDs everywhere to give us that sort of the nighttime mood, as well as we've got fog coming out of the thatched roofs to kind of give us a mystical feel. But let's take it one step further. We've got this fountain in the middle, nice fountain, but it feels kind of plain and mundane. Let's step it up a notch with the wizard's spire. Look at that thing. And then we'll put some pole accessories in here to really make it feel mystical, sort of out of the right out of the ordinary. They want to make the players feel like they've discovered a pretty cool hidden area of the city. So now between all the LEDs, all the props, all the little mystical bits lying around, I think we've definitely accomplished mood. So let's go to number 4, discovery. So there's a couple of great vehicles for discovery in this build. So number 1, we have all of the different vendor booths all around, right? What are each of these people selling? What sort of strange contraband do they have? Mystical rarities? What's for sale in each of these things? What's in any of these buildings, right? Because maybe the players want to go in some of the buildings. Great avenues for discovery. And then over here, we have a sort of cage with mysterious green glow coming from behind it. Hopefully, you put a light in something, people tend to pay attention. Hopefully, one of the players piques their interest and they come on over and look, because inside we have none other than our Bleakmire Basilisk with his glowing LED eyes, because this vendor sells dangerous exotic creatures, right? He's got the Gorgon, he's got the Bleakmire Basilisk, maybe there's some other strange and venomous creatures. And then when combat breaks out, maybe somebody goes over, they could rip the door open or pick the lock or whatever and set the basilisk free, and it can rampage around and cause trouble for the bad guys. So between the different vendors, this fun little discovery and whatever you want to have hidden in the buildings, lots of areas for discovery. So I think we got all 4 of our encounter building goals checked off. Let's see how we approach a slightly larger build with more hazardous area. All right, so our third and final encounter is 3 feet by 2 feet. It's intended to be a combat encounter. Our hook is, at the night market, the players discover that the big bad evil guy is summoning a terrible leviathan from the deep, and it's going to attack the city imminently, so they need to stop. So they've cleared the populace, and they've got to sort of make their stand here on the seaside and stop this terrible beast before it destroys all of the city. So we're setting the stage. Here's the stage for a big combat. So to that end, because it's the sort of premise is the players get to defend the area, we want to have some sort of like some fortified positions for them, some spots for them that they can kind of like stake out their spots before the bad guy attacks. If you wanted to run this was inspired by an actual encounter I did in my home game for a pretty high level group. But if you wanted to do a lower level thing, you could just have any sort of aquatic enemies, right? It could be Saugan or Koatoa or lizard folk, or anything that's coming from the water and going to like storm the town. So we have a bunch of sort of some vertical play and good fortified spots that you can pop in. So we have a little balcony up here. We have a big balcony up here that's got a spyglass. So maybe there's a reason to come up on it. We've got some perches up here, big balcony up here. We have the whole sort of raised seawall area, as well as the bottleneck of the dock coming in. So punch in different areas that they could choose to kind of try and fortify and protect. And of course, there is the watchtower all the way out here. And the intention with the watchtower was, if we have this huge monster, like kind of like the Godzilla attacking the city, right when it hits the scene, we want to have it like show its destructive capabilities. And this is an easy thing for it to smash at the table, and the tower comes crumbling down, and it shows the players like the awesome destructive capabilities of this beast. And we don't want them to get away without a little bit of collateral damage to the city. But there isn't that much, like so much of this map right now is just the water, which is really not conducive to play, right? We want the water to be difficult for the players, so it's not so conducive for them to go out there. So it's really, we only have this one bottleneck. So what I think I want to do is I want to add a couple more options for the players to get around out here. It's still going to be difficult, but at least they don't just have one. We're not forcing them to one line. Let's give them a few options. So first thing we're going to do is let's put another dock in out here. So we can take, and this is exactly what as I was building this encounter, this is the process I went. I started with one dock. I realized it wasn't enough, added in another, and I wanted to keep extending it out. The nice thing too with these little freestanding docks is it lets you sort of cock things askew a little bit so they're not like perfectly clean. So everything's not perfectly straight. Like in real docks, there's lots of stuff knocked askew. And then I want to add another, I'm going to add another boat out here so we can make the harbor feel more full. This is maybe bleeding into mood a little, but it's also, aside from accomplishing, making it feel like more like City Harbor, it's giving players another option. So they can run up here, they can use the boat, they can jump off and get on the docks, they can sort of zip around here and there. We're also seeding in a weapon here. There's a harpoon gun, so maybe there's a reason to use that. Let's get a little clutter out on the docks. Let's add one more over yonder, do a little something like that, and then connect that with a plank. And let's give us one more boat. All right, so now there's a fun bunch of different ways they can kind of crisscross. They can jump from dock to boat and vice versa. They got a couple of different lines to follow, as well as some interesting areas for the monsters to track on. And similar to, we had this harpoon gun out here. Let's give the players a few reasons to go to some of the other areas, right? So I'm going to put on this balcony up here. Let's put an arbalist over there. Set up. You could, if you want. Maybe it's in the. They have to assemble it, right? It's in pieces. It was getting shipped in, so we have that there. They could assemble that and set it up to as a crow's nest to start raining death down upon their foes. And then let's escalate it. Let's give them a reason. Like this tower is going to be really cool when it gets knocked down, but there's no reason to go up there currently. But if we put a working mangonel up there, right? If we have a big old catapult, you can start firing, get a few rounds of free shots in before the bad guys show up. That's some definite incentive to go up here. And then, of course, it also puts the player in a little more dangerous spot. If we know the attack's coming from here and they're all the way up here, it gets a little more lively. All right, so now I think the stage is well set for a great dynamic battle. Let's look at the challenges. So it's a combat encounter. Of course, the main challenge is the enemies themselves. But let's give them the enemies have an advantage on the players here, because the big challenge is going to be the enemy is aquatic and doesn't care about the water, but this water is going to be difficult for the players, right? So we've got a couple of things. One, it's already, if you want to get down to the water, you're already going 5 or 10 feet down to get in there. It'll definitely be difficult terrain. And let's say that because like the Leviathan of the deep is rising out, the sea is really churning. So it's like a pretty difficult athletics check to sort of navigate the water. So it's not only difficult terrain, we also have to make athletic checks, or maybe it'll knock you prone, you go under, to make it really inhospitable to players, but the monsters can ignore it altogether. So we really are ratcheting up the challenge and then making them sort of use the terrain more interesting. They're jumping from dock to boat and the like and kind of zipping around. So I think we have some pretty good challenge, as well as, of course, using the terrain itself. They've got some bottlenecks here and figuring out where they want to be, where their defensive positions are before the bad guys come in. Let's look at the mood, right? So now we're trying to make this feel like it is a big, bustling city harbor. So to that end, we've built everything up on seawalls. We've raised it up. If it was a fishing village, we'd probably have the buildings down at at sea level, like right on the train trays. But here we're trying to make everything feel big and elevated. We're using the streets to make it feel, once again, very metropolitan, right? They've taken the time to have real cobblestone streets. It's not just dirt paths, so it's definitely a city. We have a big, giant watchtower that's doing a lot for our mood. And these buildings, even though these are warehouses, they are big, right? We've got where they're tall and they're nice, right? Where you got the Tudor bits seated in there, the really nice roofs, the roof ridges. So we're trying to sort of upscale it, show this. These are big, wealthy warehouses. So it feels pretty much like a city. What I'm trying to do is imply that the rest of the city is over here. So to that end, I think we need one more building, right? So we've got this street going here. Let's knock this out and pop in one more building. And this will help it feel a little more like a city, right? More buildings, more densely packed. All right, so that, and then this road, let's turn this, because it's going nowhere. We'll turn this with a little curve, something like that, boom. All right, so now we have two streets here that are coming this way. So they're implying the rest of the city is this way. These buildings are kind of the edges of it, but the idea is the rest of the city is over here. And I haven't constrained this encounter, but the premise of it should hopefully constrain the encounter. So there are no fences, but if we know the bad guy's coming from over here and the players are trying to stop them from going this way, the players aren't going to run back that way. Theoretically, they'll stay in here and try and hold the line and try and, the way the NPCs are attacking is going to kind of keep them in the space, hopefully, so we don't have any walls. So it is kind of wide open. And the idea is that it does keep going back. Like if they did get driven back, we could build a second build and have them fight in the heart of the city or something if we wanted. But let's go one more. If this is supposed to feel like a big, bustling city, a well-developed city, let's do a couple little finishing touches to really sell that. So let's put a few street signs, right? So we have a little sign and a little planter, right? They've done some beautifying of the space. So a little bit of color, a little sign shows that it's a bigger city. And then there would be street lamps, right? So let's put some lamp posts out here. Show, okay, this is definitely a big city. All right. So I think we've established our mood, bustling harbor. Let's look at discoveries. So because this is a combat encounter, it's a little harder sometimes to put discoveries in. There's a little less exploration, but we do already have a couple of simple bits, right? We've put our arbalist in. We've got our spyglass. We've got the harpoon gun. We've got the big mangonel. So there's already sort of some weapons they could discover. There's stuff in here. There's some weapons and a hook and the like. So there's stuff in any of the zones. If they're scavenging for things, there could be interesting stuff in the warehouse or in the boats and the like. But let's step it up one more notch. So let's say if anybody gets near here, they hear some whimpering, maybe a faint cry for help, the like, and we have hidden in here, there is a child. So they've cleared all the civilians out of the area because they know the attack's coming, but there was a lost child that's hiding and scared, needs some help. So we're now adding a little complication, a twist into the fight. Somebody's got to save the child, feel like a hero, or it could be some kind of emotionally devastating collateral damage if the kid dies in the fight. So that's a discovery that's going to twist how they maybe approach the encounter. And then let's twist it even further. So we know the bad guys are coming from over here, so the players are probably going to try and be as far away as possible. Let's make them go up a little bit. So let's say the only thing that can destroy the Leviathan is the Oblivion Spike. It's a dagger that the bad guy was trying to smuggle out of town before this happened, but maybe the players interrupted their plan or whatever. So they have the intel that the dagger is hidden in the boat with the red flag. So they get to the encounter and they see that here's the boat with the red flag. Now we're forcing them to come all the way out here to search the boat. And the bad guy's coming from this side. So it's going to make things dicey for them. You can search around the boat and we have the fun reveal. We'll use the little smuggler's compartment and we'll have the dagger inside the smuggler's compartment. So that's a real fun reveal, fun discovery you can do on the table. So I think we've got enough bits for them to discover. We've set our stage. We have the mood. We got plenty of challenges. I think we are set for a really fun city combat encounter. So hopefully that will help you design more exciting cities encounters. If you want to know where the pieces in these builds came from, we have piece breakdown videos linked in the description below. If you want to learn more about our cities collection, we have a cities playlist also linked in the description below. And if you still have questions, hop in our Discord where we have an amazing community who would love to talk terrain with you. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, and leave us a comment. It really helps. Thank you so much for watching. And now, it's back to the anvil!